Well, Josh, welcome to the podcast.
Yep.
Welcome to the
Thanks for having me.
the nest. But like you were saying there, with the mindset of like going into a competition with like the MMA or the BMX, like there's a lot of pressure that obviously comes with that and a lot of eyeballs on you. And it's like the mental game of being able to perform in that moment. And it's like how you train yourself to be able to like, okay, I've got like, how long would a competition be for you guys when you obviously do like park or something? It's like, what, a minute or 2 minutes or
Yeah,
so?
so you get like a 60-second run. Qualifications is you get two 60-second runs. Both your runs count. So you can't really make any errors or mistakes there. And then if you can get through to the finals, then that's where it's a little less pressure. You got 2 runs, 60 seconds, and your best run counts. So it's...
Like it's got less pressure, but it's 60 seconds, and you think about everything that goes into that 60 seconds.
Yeah, there's 11 things that they look for in the run too. So it's not just like doing the flashy tricks. You need to be going high. Your speed is a massive factor of how fast you're going through the course. Are you using every ramp? So there's a lot. There's
so many elements to it.
Yeah, there's more than meets the eye, like from the general public when they just watch a BMX show competition. They probably think sometimes like, why did that get scored that score, and then why is this one getting there? It's just they're ticking off more criteria than
there's more
that
boxes
guy.
there. Yeah. Do you find as well with the judge sport though, it is hard to, like, you'd obviously go to events and you'd see people get certain results and you go, hey, I don't know, but like it's always going to be a bit of bias towards people.
Yeah, you do see that from time to time. Like there is a lot of events where just the scoring's pretty inconsistent, but you do look like it's different from watching it in TV and then watching it in real life as well. I feel like every time I look back and watch it on YouTube or rewatch a competition, I do that all the time. So I'll go back and watch like a comp 6, 7, 8 times over and just work out why they'll score that score. And it does make sense most of the time. Like you'll go back and go, oh, okay,
yeah,
he cased this ramp, or he had better use of the course than this guy, so that's why he got the score. So
yeah, the deductions that kind of add up, or like the points that add up. Because sometimes I know when I watch a fight, like an MMA fight, and you kind of in real time, it's hard to judge, and then you watch it back after the scores have been said, and okay, that makes more sense.
As well as like having the crowd bias too. Like, for example, we're in China, and the Chinese riders, their crowd was going wild. Yeah. So as a judge, you're sitting there going, wow, okay, like that plays an effect on how you're scoring these people, I think personally.
Yeah, so, if you get a big cheer after you land a trick, it's going to even subconsciously kind of make it seem like that was better than what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see that for sure.
So it's
another example is that, when Islam Makhachev fought Volk in Australia, and I watched that and I kind of thought Volk won, and obviously from the hype and even how they finished, but then I watched it back. And if you go off each round and scoring and control and stuff, you're like, okay, I can see how Islam probably did get it. But in the moment when you watch it, it's like you say the hype and certain things. And it's also that whole thing of like scoring it as like, if you're on top at the end of the last round beating the shit out of someone, but then that still scored the same as if you were doing that in round 1. It's like that.
Yeah, like
how's that fair or not fair?
I totally agree. Like I went and watched that that fight at the Sporting Globe, and that place gets like 200 people in there, and all Aussies on the Gold Coast. That place was going crazy. So I was blowing up, like, how did he lose that fight? And then you go back and watch it, and it's like, oh, yeah, okay. That's where he got him, type of thing.
And you feel like you see that a lot in like competition with BMX, that you'll see people that you'll kind of in the moment feel like they should have got scored differently than they actually do.
Yeah, I'm pretty biased towards the Aussie boys as well. Like at every contest, I'm always screaming out in the crowd. But
you're like the soccer mum.
Oh yeah, I get real into it on those BMX events. It's just a cool vibe, and then seeing how hard the boys train all the time. You get to the event, it's hard for me not to be biased. So yeah, like I always think the Aussies are doing maybe a bit better than what the scores are. Yeah, it's cool. I love the FEAS events, all the UCI, the Olympic pressure. Like it's cool to be amongst that, especially as a coach too. So, coaching at these events, it's such a different experience than if I was riding at a FEAS event, for example. Like different pressure, different atmosphere, just...
How was the transition from that? Because we were talking about this the other day, from like athlete to coach, and how did that go for you? Was there, like, obviously you're going to miss it in a certain way, but you kind of find this new role and it's almost more fulfilling helping someone else achieve their goals and having also the knowledge and information to give them. How was that transition for you?
I personally love it. Like, I love coaching more than I do riding nowadays, way more. Even like I do the comparison of like how it feels for me to land a trick back when I was like coming up and, you know, I land my first, for example, tail whip. I'm getting more hype seeing my students land their first tail whip or bar spin than when I was landing my own first tail whip. So I know I'm on the right path now. Like, riding, absolutely love it. Like, I go crazy if I don't get a session in throughout the week. But coaching is definitely what I like to do. That's my as cliche as it is, like my calling, I reckon. Just, yeah, I get to be amongst the BMX scene. The pressure isn't on me like it still is. I still feel it's different pressure.
It's different, yeah.
So it's sick. Like, it's hard to have a bad day when you're coaching all these awesome like kids coming up. Like, all they want to do is ride their bike, and it's just like that's all I like to do as well. So.
Did it reinstill the love for it?
Yeah, for sure. Like, yeah, it was a bit of a stressful time. Like, I was going through some weird injuries. Like, I had a bit of a neck injury, which is the reason why I kind of jumped back into coaching. So I was coaching over in China. Like, I lived over there, moved there when I was like 18. So I was living there doing BMX shows and then dove into coaching. And, so was doing that for a little while over there, and then COVID happened. So I kind of took a break from all the coaching, came over to Australia, moved back home, and really tried to give it a good hard crack. Was riding, we call it the hot box. So I was riding the hot box with all the boys. That's like our national BMX training facility. And I was giving it a red hot crack, coming to training, trying to get to the gym, like doing all these strength and conditioning sessions, pushing myself as much as I could, but I found that I kept getting injured. Like, I needed a coach, I feel. I needed someone to go, whoa, pull it back a bit. You don't need to send these tricks today type of thing. In hindsight, it would have been good to know, like, if I had someone there to go, dude, chill out, I probably would still be riding, I reckon. But
it's hard to see it when you're in it.
Yeah.
You need to be taken out of it.
It's hard, like, when you're in the adrenaline and everyone's sending it, it's a good session and you're feeling good. It's hard to cool off or like just stick to the game plan type of thing, especially in extreme sport. Like, we all just want to send it most of the time, like progress and learn the new tricks. And so going from there and then getting injured, a friend of mine, like Kyle Baldock, he's one of the goats in the sport, so he hit me up and was like, yo, I'm running these coaching things down at Level Up Skate Park, would you want to come down and give us a hand? And I was on the fence a bit. I was like, do I really want to get back into coaching? Like, I'm kind of want to pursue this riding thing. Gave it a crack, and then, like, the rest is history. I haven't stopped coaching since that day. Like, every single day, 7 days a week. Man, that's like, I've got no other hobbies now.
Just full time into that.
Yeah, it's kind of like annoying for all my friends and all my housemates. Like, they're just, all I do is talk about BMX, and my students, like, I come home and I'm like, dude, Kobe landed a flip cliffhanger, and they're just like, oh my God, again, like, you have anything else to talk about? Like, it's just consumed my whole life.
Did you find when you were obviously still doing it, did you ever feel like you were kind of falling out of love with it before you went back into the coaching, or you were always kind of on a high level with it?
No, like, I always loved it. I always had the love. It was just the pressure. I realized I wasn't a competition rider, and which was hard because that's kind of one of the only ways to make good money in this sport is to win comps.
Yeah.
So it's like you got the content creation path where you like your YouTube and you can do that. Didn't really want to do that. Then you have the BMX Nitro Circus show side, which is pretty gnarly. Like, I'm good. I don't really feel like riding a, 30-foot gap every day.
Yeah.
Like, that's
Triple backflips, just left, right, and center.
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah. I'll leave those for those boys. So that wasn't really an option I wanted to do. I did enjoy performing over in China, but like nothing there was happening. So it was like competitions is kind of the only path that I had to go down, and having to ride the hot box every day against, not against, but like riding with Logan Martin and Brandon Lupos, Josh Matthews, J2, all these savages. I was like, dude, this isn't what I want to do. Like, I don't want to really have to train like this every day. Like,
it's a commitment, man.
Yeah, especially
like mentally and physical.
Especially coming from because I have a martial arts background, so 15 years doing martial arts. All I did was train, and then when I got to BMX, I was like, this is way more cool. I can just chill out and hang out with my friends. Like, I fell in love with the whole traditional BMX side, hanging out with your mates, riding bikes, doing tricks. So that's where my love still is, hanging out, riding bikes. Competition side, I don't particularly enjoy, but like, I still go to all the events. I study comp runs all day, every day. Like, I do love that side, just not for me.
Yeah.
To personally to go and do.
It's funny the transition from why most people get into a sport, especially like a sport like BMX or mountain biking or surfing or whatever. And it's like to hang out with your mates, to have fun, to enjoy it. And then as time goes on and you get better at it, then you're like, well, what's the next evolution to this? It's like competition, competing, and suddenly you find yourself not really riding with the same mates or riding in a pressure situation where it's not like we're just going to the bowl or whatever, or going to like do tricks and have fun and hang out and push each other that way. And then it's like, I need to get these tricks. I need to do this. And it's this expectation on yourself that kills it for you, because then it's like, well, I'm just doing this for this now. I'm not doing this for me anymore. Well, even though it is kind of for you, it's not the reason you started it, and you feel that. I feel like you feel that, and then that's what I feel like kills it for a lot of people, because now it's like they're expected to do this, and it's like all the pressure is internal most of the time. Obviously, you've got sponsors and stuff, but that transition between I was doing this to hang out with my buddies, and now I feel like I'm just doing this not alone, but you're kind of in your own head, and like, I need to get this trick down because I have a competition next Thursday or next Saturday or whenever it is. And then that, like you said, that pressure situation comes into play, and you're like, I don't want to feel this pressure all the time, because like as an athlete, you don't really shut off from that. Like, everyone's like, you've got you're so lucky you've got this crazy life and you're an athlete, and like, which is great, but it's like, when you clock off from work and you go home, you don't have to think about work anymore. When you're an athlete, especially like an extreme sports athlete, it's like your brain doesn't shut off from like what you eat, when you sleep, when you go home, when you get up, what you're going to train, especially in a sport which is so individual as well. It's like
one of my best mates, he explained this to me the other day. We were talking about like he runs a business as well, so we're both coaches. He actually helps me down at Level Up. His name's Chris. Shout out Chris. He put it in a cool term the other day. It's just like running a business, or like being an extreme sports athlete or an athlete in general, feels like you have an assignment due tomorrow, but for the rest of your life. Like, that's just, you just always feel like, crap, like I need to get this done. Like that's tomorrow. I've got training tomorrow. I need to get this trick done. Like, there's always something. So yeah,
I think the one good thing about that mindset as an athlete is you can always do something better. I guess with being an athlete though, it really it's like if you don't do the things you need to do, you're going to get put on a stage where everyone's looking at you. And if you don't perform, it's pretty obvious that you didn't do the things you need. Yeah. So it's like, it holds a mirror up against you and shows like your imperfections and your weaknesses, and obviously sometimes your strengths as well. But it's like, if you fail, it's all on you. If you succeed, it's all on you. So it's like this very obvious.
Yeah, there's nothing worse than getting to a course and going, crap,
I didn't do enough.
I haven't done the work. Like, that's where I feel like a lot of your self-doubt and not having much confidence in yourself comes from. Like, that's what I always tell my students. If you're going to the comp, I want you to do the tricks that we do here. Yeah. If you can't do it here every day, then we shouldn't do it. Like, yeah, it's okay to have a couple tricks in the bag in case your back's up against the wall and you need to pull something out. Like, but generally, I want my students to come to the event going, I can do everything in my run. I'm fit enough to do the 60 seconds. It's just another day, just different ramps.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's just the repetition and being confident, have like, yeah, you shouldn't really ever go up to an event and going, I've never done this before, I think I'm going to send it. Like,
yeah.
Yeah, it's
you want to have at least some kind of understanding of that this is a real possibility that you can do this, not just wing it.
Yeah, you never really want to wing it, especially in extreme sport, because you've got to be all in, focused. I know what I'm doing.
Yeah, but in the opposite of that is like, how good is that feeling when you rock up to a competition and you know exactly what you need to do and you know exactly how you're going to do it.
Yeah,
and you have that confidence coming in, and it's almost like you move differently. Like, you're not tight, you're loose, you're casual, you're relaxed. And it's just like that feeling of, like, I would always know when I'd go to a competition and I was prepared and like feeling good, I couldn't wait for the comp. Like, you'd have practice obviously like Friday and then qualifying Saturday and then race Sunday. You'd be like Friday afternoon, I'm like, get me to Sunday, like get me to the race. Like, I'm so ready. And it's like, you want it to come quicker, where if you're puzzling or you haven't done the work, you're like, okay, we got another day. I need to like learn the track. I need to learn my tricks. I need to learn whatever. And you start to blame other things. Like, if people start to blame the bikes, the conditions.
Oh, it's windy.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sick. Like, yeah.
Yeah, excuses come quite easily at that point. But you got to realize that like no one cares about the excuses you come up with.
Yeah, it's just doing the work, putting in the work. It's like the best way. It's like I sometimes see my students, like, we'll rock up to an event and I know they've done the prep. I know they're fit enough for the run, and they're like, I'm nervous. I'm like, are you nervous or are you just excited? Like, which one are you? Because
the same thing.
Sometimes it's hard to work out which one. Like, are you excited to just go out there and do your thing? Or are you genuinely nervous about your run and the tricks you have to do? And a lot of the time they go there, they sit there and they go, oh, yeah, I think I'm just a bit more excited. I'm just like, dude, perfect. Like, go out there and do what you do best. Like, you don't have to, you're not doing anything that you've never done. Just go with the flow. Like, rocking up, and especially like if you've done the prep and you don't have that extra nerves and you're not stressing before the drop in, you're not up on top of the ramp going, crap, here we go. You're going to be able to just loosen out and everything's going to look better in the run. You're going to be more loose in the air. So it does play a big part. The preparation's huge.
I think that's what separates the two. Like, preparation is what changes nervous to excited.
Exactly. Yeah, 100%.
It's the exact same feeling, but nervous and excited are like, how much prep did you put into this?
Yeah, there's a fine line between the two. Like, it's hard to tell the difference a lot of the time.
Yeah, like your body doesn't know the difference. Your mind probably does.
It's tensed up. Like, that's why it's good to sometimes take that step back at the comps or the shows or whatever you're really doing. It doesn't have to be BMX. It could just be day-to-day life. Like, am I nervous or am I excited? Because a lot of the time you're probably just a bit excited to get it done.
Yeah.
So
you just want to get through with it.
Yeah.
I was going to check. Have you got like a little bit of static coming through your head?
Yeah, a little bit. Yep. Oh, it's only when I chat, like talk.
Yeah, I don't know why. I'm not sure why. Is that better? I think that's a little bit better.
Yep.
Yeah, it's when you talk though. It's like
it's when
I don't know. Sometimes the cables. I think that does sound a little bit better. Sometimes the cables when you run the long ones because it's got 4 set up. Sometimes the static through them seems to be worse. I think it's a little bit better. I was going to ask you as well, when you did go to China, like what was the how did that come about? Where you're like,
that was such a random thing for me. I was like, goes way back. I was 16 doing BMX shows at Monster Skate Park for the Easter show.
Yeah.
So it was just like a regular thing I used to do with Monster growing up there. And I met this rollerblader named Ollie. And yeah, we just hung out and got to know him. He was a cool dude. And then like a year or 2 later, he hit me up and he was like, so random. I think I was working, I can't even remember what I was doing for work. It was just the most random job. Gives me a call in the middle of the job. I'm like, what the hell? This random name's popping up. I haven't spoken to this guy in like a year and a half, 2 years.
Yeah.
He's like, hey man, I need you to go to China. There's a BMX guy that's pulled out. Would you move there for a 6-month contract? And I was like, at work. I'm like, whatevs. Like, yeah, screw it. Here I am thinking like, this is a load of crap. Like, you always get these random offers, and most of the time nothing ever comes of it. I'm like, yeah, dude, I'm down. Like, I'm always down to do whatever. And then he's like, yep, cool. I'll get you all the deets. We'll pay for your flights, your visas, food, accommodation, everything's sorted. You just need to go to the visa place and go do it all and get your visa. I'm like, all right, cool. Yeah, and then I went out there, did all the visa stuff. I'm like, crap, this actually might be happening. And then sends me the flights. And he's like, all right, cool, you're leaving in a couple of weeks, dude. I'm like, crap. So I just had to pretty much sell. I sold heaps of my stuff, like all my furniture, my bed. I sold like...
This is 16.
Yeah, I was like 17, so I was almost 18.
Yeah.
When I was going, I would have been 18 when I was flying. So I'm like selling all my stuff, getting rid of pretty much everything, putting all my stuff in boxes, and then it was all a bit of a big blur. Like, it happened so quickly. And then, yeah, I was in Tianjin, China. Just, yeah, I was just, no one spoke English. So I was just trying to learn Chinese straight off the bat. I was trying to learn it on the plane. Like, just basics, hello, goodbye, don't want spicy.
Yeah.
Just random things that I think I'm going to need.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, just did BMX shows there for 6 months. Just kind of picked it up. Ended up learning, like, I could speak pretty good Mandarin now after living there for a while and then doing all the coaching.
Have you still got that? Have you still?
Yeah. So I was in Shanghai about less than a month ago and basically translating for the whole Aussie team and all the German team, just helping everyone get food because, like, they do not speak English at all.
Yeah.
Like, you might get lucky and you can use the Translate app, but half the time it doesn't really translate directly for you anyway. So, yeah, I'm 18, living in China, doing BMX shows, living with a Russian BMX dude named Misha. He could barely speak English too, so it was a weird time for sure.
How did that feel, just to step so far out of your comfort zone?
It was sick. I love it. I love jumping into the deep end. Like, it's generally every time those big life-changing opportunities come up, I'm down to jump on it because I've just kind of seen the pattern of how those things roll out throughout my life, and they usually lead to cool situations. So I'm down for anything like that. If someone like this year, Team Germany hit me up and they were just like, "Yo, do you want to come over to England on like 2 weeks' notice to come coach some of our German athletes?" I'm like, hell yeah, absolutely, let's go. Boom, done. They sorted that out, and so I'm always down on any time, anywhere. Down to go with the flow.
It's like the yes man mentality.
Yeah, for sure. Like, yeah, there's nothing. It's hard to see the negatives in taking those opportunities up.
I was talking to a friend about this, and it's like the whole idea of why not instead of what if.
Yeah.
Because so many people live with what if. Like, what if I'd gone on that trip? What if I'd done this? And I just think that would be the worst thing to live with constantly. Be like, oh, what if I'd done that? And obviously there's going to be like certain regrets about not doing something or doing something, like, but you have to choose your regret of what you do and what you don't do. And I think in those situations, I just would go, why not? Like, what's the worst thing that could happen? And I think people focus so hard on if it all went wrong. I'm like, if it all went wrong, you just like get up and go do something else. Like, it's not the end of the world. It's like you go over there, okay, you realize that it might have been what you didn't want to do, but then you know. It's like we were talking about before, in the moment, like hindsight's a beautiful thing, but in the moment, if you're like, okay, I'll give it a crack. If you go over and it's the worst thing ever, come back.
Yeah.
Do something else.
That was my mentality. Like, when I first went to China, actually, I was a bit nervous now that I think back. Like, I remember being on the plane just going, crap, I'm going to China right now to live there in the middle, like in the equivalent of like Ipswich. It was like the most random place in China that I was moving to. I'm like, what am I doing? And then, like, at the end of the day, I was like, if worse comes to worse, I'll just catch a flight home.
Yeah.
Like, it's 8 hours away. It's like I would drive from Queensland to Sydney. So if worse comes to worse, I can just jump on a plane and come on home. But I'm stoked I never did. Like, China's probably one of the coolest places I've ever been to. I've had, oh man, crazy stories. I could sit here all day telling you wild stories from China. Just,
what's the most wild one that comes to mind? First thing.
Oh, I don't know if I can say it on the potty.
Second.
There's somewhat. Oh, I need to go down the rank. I remember I got asked by. Hold on, sorry, I'm getting go. I remember I was getting asked by the Beijing mayor. I think it was like the mayor of sport or something. He flew me to Mongolia for a BMX show. What did he do? He put me in like a presidential suite, paid me $2,000 for like a 5-minute show, and there was no one out there. It was like I've got photos. There was like one guy and literally a goat. I'm just like in the mountain of Mongolia. I'm just like, what is going on? So
guys just loving it. Absolutely
stuff like that all the time. Like China's one of those spots where you can like leave your house at 8 a.m. and you come home with no plans, and then you come home like 2 days later and you've just got endless stories. And yeah, I've got heaps of stuff that I probably can't say at the potty, but there's a lot of good times in China.
Because I don't know, it's like it's not the first spot that pops up to mind to go to, but is BMX massive over there? Is it like it's growing?
Getting huge. They're gonna take over at the moment. Like it's the Chinese takeover, especially in the women's division. Like they just got first, second, and third at the previous Olympic qualifier in Shanghai.
Yeah,
and they deserve it. Like the girls are savages. They're doing like super high level tricks. Their bike control's unreal. And especially with like the Groms coming up, they've got such a crazy scene. Like they're just so disciplined. And what you see in China is like they've taken a lot of athletes out of sports like, you know, diving, gymnastics, just any type of athlete that's excelled in their sport. They've kind of gone, hey, come try BMX. And
you've got the skills.
It's working. Like you're seeing girls that have been riding for 4 years coming top 3 in an Olympic qualifier.
Yeah.
So it's the scene over there is booming. I've actually got a couple students. So like one of my boys, his name's Liang. He's 12 now. He's doing tricks like triple tail whips and opposite double tail whips and flare whips, and it's just like imagine
what do you mean? Like what do you mean, bro? Like chill.
It's surreal to see, honestly. And like I remember this kid learning how to bunny hop 4 years ago, and now he's out here doing triple whips, and it's just where he's going to be in 10 years is going to be freakish.
1 year.
Yeah, 1 year.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, give him 4 years, and he's going to be almost pretty much ready for the elites.
Yeah.
The only thing that would be stopping those dudes from coming into the elite division is just the power. So that leg power to get all the height and the amplitude that the judges look for.
Yeah, be physically strong enough to do it.
Yeah, but trick level wise, they've got it all. Like there's 6-year-olds doing double tail whip airs, and they're 6. It's like I didn't even know I existed at 6. And they're doing double whips.
You look at the progression now of how further ahead kids are at that age. Like there's a kid that races downhill. Well, he's still kind of a kid, Jackson Goldstone, and he was putting up videos when he was literally like 6, going on this like, you know, the push bikes with like no pedals on them. They're just like
balance bikes.
Balance bikes. He's dropping off like ledges that are like 3 times the size of him as a kid, and now he's like one of the best riders in the world.
So I reckon those balance bikes that's helping this both. I'd say both scenes a heap, because like kids like the Liang, he was doing 360s on balance bikes.
Yeah,
like exactly. And all these Chinese kids that are popping through, they all come from balance bike racing.
Yeah,
and pump tracks, balance bikes, and then they transition to BMX. So
well, I think it's just the progression that they can get onto a bike when they're literally 2 or 3. And then now, like you said, you've got pump tracks, you've got more like coaches, you've got more facilities to actually give the kids the opportunity to learn these things and then push forward. So by the time, like they're 6 already, like you said, doing double tail whips and stuff. And you're like, where's the progression of where they're going to get to when that's the level they're at 6 years old?
I think you're going to start to see it like in skateboarding maybe, where, see, this is where I think a lot. Like I think about this a lot. So with skating, you're seeing 10-year-olds competing at X Games and 12-year-olds, and they're able to compete with the big dogs. And it's just because I think, well, in skating, they've got a better center of gravity because they're a bit smaller, and it's just like maybe a bit easier to do things. But I'm trying to think of like when you're going to start to see, you know, a 15-year-old or a 14-year-old in the elite men's division and be able to podium or...
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be too long. Like, you're seeing it in skating all the time. You just rock up to an X Games and half of them are this big.
Wasn't it snowboarding? There was... I don't know if it was a girl or a guy, but I think they were like 14 or 15 and they landed somewhere like world's first, like cork 1900 or something like ridiculous. And you go, is that actually better because you're younger? Like you've got a smaller center of gravity and you can probably rotate.
Yeah, and spin a bit better maybe.
Yeah, but it's like 14, 15-year-olds doing world first.
Yeah, like we got Arissa True. She's down at Level Up Academy. So that's where I run a lot of my BMX lessons and stuff. She's out there grinding. She just landed the first 900 on a skateboard. First female, to land the 900, and she's like 13. It's like, what? Did like the first, I don't know, McTwist or I don't know. I'm still trying to get in touch with all the skate tricks and terminology, but like she's killing it. She's only like 13.
What do you think the biggest thing is that this progression has gotten as far forward as it has?
What do you mean? Sorry.
Like with the younger kids, what do you think the reason is behind? Like we said, balance bikes, but do you think it's like, and again, like the coaching and the facilities that are helping them?
Definitely having coaches is helping the sport for sure. Because every other industry has it. You can, like rugby league, for example, it's got so many coaches, so many workshops and seminars, so it's so easy to get good help. Whereas BMX and skating, we didn't really have that at all. It was kind of just like the local pro down at Pizzy going, yeah, mate, go a bit faster, lean forward. Yeah. Like, we never had any coaches. So to have that in the scene now and, you know, to have that support and go, just having someone to tell you can do it, even when you don't feel like you can do it. It's seeing results. Like, I get the best feedback from the parents going just like, you know, before my son or my daughter, they were so awkward at school. Like they struggled to make friends. Their grades weren't doing too well, but now they're doing BMXing and like they're loving school. They're getting better grades. Their feedback from their their teachers at school is like way better. Their grades have improved, and I'm just like, dude, sick. We're doing something right here. Like, they're stoked after school. They're stoked during school. Like, their grades are getting better, they're making more friends, they're getting healthy, they're riding bikes. So it's just like there's no real downside to it. I can't really see a downside to having coaches in the scene. Like, it's just going to progress the sport. You're going to see less injuries. Like, I spend most of my time telling people what not to do. And I'll just go out and show them. I'll just be like, don't do this because this is what will happen. And then you show them the crash and they're like, oh, cool. So
I don't want to do that.
Don't do that. I'll do this. You know what I mean? Like, just little things like that. Just showing what not to do and the correct way to do things. I'm seeing like so many kids just go from here to high levels so fast. Like, I've only really been coaching on the coast for 2 years, and some of the kids are doing like, I got a dude named Emilio, he's 11 years old, and he landed a 3 double whip, so a 360 double tail whip, first try, next day, 360 tail whip to bar spin. So it's just like, his progress is insane all the time. And it's not just him, like, I've got so many savages coming up, and I'm like, man, like, your level of riding in a few years is going to be just insane. It's mind-blowing, so it's cool. I'm so stoked.
How much do you think the Olympics had to do with, obviously, BMX getting put into the Olympics? How much do you think that had to do with the progression of, like, coaching and facilities and everything?
Heaps, for sure. Like, it's a weird one. A lot of people really don't like the Olympics and the whole BMX thing, but at the end of the day, we're getting more funding, we're getting more facilities. In the scene. They're just like, it's not what BMX is. And like, I come from that type of world where it's just like, just hanging out at the park, having fun, like no comps, you don't need to be doing quad whips and all that. It's just having fun with your boys, like no pressure. But having these, you know, the U for 32 programs that Oz Cycling's put together, and it does help. Like, you got better facilities, you've got coaches, you've got support. It's just helping these kids go down the path. If they want to do that, they can do it. It's there. And the cool thing about BMX that I've found, like, that is different from other sports is in rugby league, for example, you can't just go to your local footy field and see Jonathan Thurston kicking a footy goal. But you can go to Pizzy or Narang and see Logan Martin, the Olympic gold medalist. So you've got access to meet your favourite riders, and they're generally usually so cool. So they're down to just give you a fist bump, go, "What's up? Show me what you're doing." Like, it's a cool scene, and having something like the Olympics be like, now that we're a part of the Olympics, it's helping a lot for sure. We're kind of looked at as professional athletes now, whereas before it was like, if you're a 25, 26-year-old dude just hanging at the skate park, it's not a good look, you know. It's parents are like, "Oh, what's that dude doing?" Like, looking like a bit sketchy. Yeah. But now it's kind of like, "Oh, he might be a pro. Cool. Like, he's just training." So we get it's a better look for us for sure. And then like, I've seen a massive boom in the scene. So I thought BMX was gonna die out. Like, for where I'm from, Sydney, West Sydney, it's pretty much dead there. Like, if you go to skate parks, it's just no one's riding down there. For sure, it's popping off in the Gold Coast especially. We got a lot of Queensland. We've got a lot of programs and a lot of coaches up here. I'd love to see some more coaches popping up down in New South Wales and, you know, Canberra, Melbourne. But at the moment, like Queensland, we got a good scene, and it's coming back for sure. BMX is like, I've never seen so many kids riding bikes in my life. Like, used to go to Pizzy 2 years ago. I keep referring Pizzy, but it's just like kind of the spot, the hot spot at the moment. Used to go there a couple of years ago and just be like a couple of dudes riding BMX, mostly scooters, and then a lot of skaters. Now it's just like, you can go down to Pizzy on a Friday afternoon and you'll see like 10 8-year-olds doing backflips on BMXs, and it's just like sick. The sport's coming back, or like the scene's coming back for sure.
How much of an influence do you think Logan's had on pushing that, like having, like you say, a Olympic gold medalist that comes and hangs out right there? It must give the kids a tangible goal to achieve and see.
Yeah, it's unreal. Having dudes like Logan in the sport, and, you know, Willie, he's such a good dude for the scene. Like, just having those pros, because we all love riding bikes still. We just like hanging out at the skate park, riding bikes with our friends as well. So we've all got that thing to relate to. And then, when they see like a little grommy just coming up to them, giving them knuckles, asking for a photo, it's like, we were all you once, for sure. Like, me especially, I never forget. I'm still such a fan of the sport, and I'm a BMX nerd. Like, so I still get stoked riding with Logan, you know what I mean? Going to his house, hanging out. It's just like, it's cool. It's sick to be able to have dudes like that in the scene that are just still, they haven't forgotten where they came from, type of thing. It's just,
and even this financial support that would come along with having the Olympics, because I'd say obviously if you're doing X Games, you'd probably get paid pretty well, but is it fairly drop off? Like you said, if you're not a Nitro Circus, if you're not doing X Games and doing well, and you're not the Olympics, like I feel like in most sports, action sports, it's either you're in the top kind of 5/10, and then after that it's no man's land.
Literally, like, especially BMX, like, it'd be awesome to start seeing some higher purses, and just for really just the groms that are coming up. Like, it's hard to live off, you know. You spend all this money to get yourself to the event, accommodation, food, blah, 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 blah. You win a feast. Like, some events, they're all different with the prize purse, but a lot of the time, after you've taken out all the expenses for the trip and then your tax and everything, you're kind of left with, like, not much left. So to have more money in the scene would be great, but that's only going to come with more riders coming in and more people viewing and coming to the comps. So it's going to take a while. I'm very hopeful. I reckon within 10 years, this sport's going to be popping off, I think. Like, one of my little goals is, like, I know it's a long shot, but I'd love to be able to get BMX on, like, KO Sports, where there's, like, a monthly comp going on, and there's, like, an Australian Park series or Australian BMX freestyle series on KO, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like we need something like that where it's regular.
You almost need to attach yourself to other events that are already kind of built. Like, if just say there's a music festival or something like that, build some big dirt jumps there. Have
that. That's what a lot of it is still.
Yeah, like have it on the side that it's like you either might go there for the BMX and then there's a festival, or you might go there for the festival, there's some BMX. It's like that cross contamination kind of thing. I don't know if cross contamination is probably right, but you know what I mean, like cross.
I get you.
The crossover of both things. I think that's probably the best thing to do it. So you go for something, but then there's something else there to enjoy. It's like, and it'll bring new fans in, but also give the current fans something else to enjoy.
Yeah, like if there was just we need something like that for sure. I think that's the way to go for, especially the BMX freestyle scene, to take things to the next level. Is we need regular comps, just as well. It gives the kids something to look forward to every couple of weeks. Like we've got our nationals series and we've got something called core series, but it only runs like a few times. There's only like a few of those a year, and then like the rest of the year, kind of just like, well, what am I doing? Like we go back to just having fun and riding bikes, but it's like, it is cool to have those things to look forward to. So it would be cool to have BMX, like more contests popping up. And like I said, if we could get it on like KO or Channel 9, even something random, that's where we need to kind of go down, I think.
More mainstream kind of.
More mainstream sport. Like it's cool to still have all your other events, but if we could get something like that happening, I think that's going to be really good for the future.
Yes,
like kids coming
separated a little bit more. How? Because you said when you walked in, you've been super busy at the moment because obviously there's the Olympics coming up and X Games. What role do you play in before the event and then obviously during the event?
So I've got one athlete. So her name's Kim Leah Mueller. She's from Team Germany. So she came here 2 years ago with her partner Dean, and I've been friends with Dean for years online. And it was when they first moved here, I didn't even know who Kim was. So she just randomly came to one of my women's lessons, and she could do a few things, but they stayed in Australia for a while. So I had a few sessions with Kim over and over and over, and we actually got it to like a pretty high level where she went back to Germany and was killing it. So from there, I've kind of been her like full-time coach. So I've been looking after her like everything really. Like we do in her, because I've got an online coaching app. So it's called JK Coaching. It's like the first freestyle BMX coaching app. Through there, like I track her water intake, I track her sleep. We've got like a daily mental health questionnaire to just make sure she's in the right headspace. Got her riding like her training schedule, so like things that she needs to be doing each day, the goals for the week, where we need to be at by the end of the week, and then through Coach Now, like it's like a secondhand app. She just uploads everything into there, and I can just talk to her, give her tips on how to improve her technique and everything. So yeah, like she just came over after the previous Shanghai Olympic qualifier, and like we run training camps together. When she goes back over to Germany, I work with her through the app, and it's pretty much a few times a week we check in. We have a FaceTime. We go, yep, this is where we're at. This is what we need to be doing. Comp day, if I'm not there, we're chatting every like couple of hours or couple of times throughout the day just to make sure we're on track. And yeah, it's hard not being there. I do prefer to be there. So it's just to be able to keep her in the right mindset and just nice and calm, staying loose. Like it's just another day. Like I said, being prepared. We're prepared for this. Like we know what to do.
What's the biggest thing you see, I guess, in her and other athletes when you are at the events that, like mindset-wise, that kind of go the wrong way?
Just being underprepared. Really, like that's the thing that I see the most is just like you see the athletes who are like, you can see before they even go out to practice, you can see who's ready and who's not. So you can see who's done the prep and you can see who's kind of been preparing the wrong way for this event. So yeah, it's
I guess as well with the app, it's like you're saying you're tracking pretty much everything. So I guess when you've got something like that, it's like you can't hide from the fact that you've done the work because it's so clearly obvious within the app.
It is. It's hard. It's hard, especially with Kim. It's her first Olympic qualification series. So she's feeling the pressure, like, as you would, everyone would. I'm feeling it, she's feeling it, everyone out there's feeling it. Like, the nerves are high. But she works hard, and I know she can pull off her runs. So it's just keeping her calm on the day. That's mostly what I do on the day with her. Like, once she's in the practice, like, it's all up to her type of thing. I can only say or do a couple things from there. So just helping the athlete, making sure they're in the right mindset. You know, if they've got any questions or doubts, just kind of fixing those up, or like helping them around that. So every single time you get to an event, everything that you wanted to do is generally not what you're going to end up doing. Like, for example, you think the box jump looks like this, you get there and it's tiny, or there's no way to get speed. So you have to quickly change everything up. So it's just being there to be able to go like, all right, that doesn't work there. Let's swap this around. We'll put this here, and you can do that, and then we're all good. And then they're just like, oh, okay, cool. Where it's like, if you're not there, a lot of the time, like, the athlete's so overwhelmed, they just start freaking out, and then they panic. They're like, oh my God, like, I had this planned, but now I can't do this. Where it's just like, you just need to have that person to go, no, you're cool, just do this. Like,
yeah,
it's all fine. So,
yeah, thinking on your feet.
Mostly just being there, being supporting the athlete, making sure they're drinking water throughout the day, making sure they get their pre-stretches in, like taking them through the warm-up. It's sick. I love it.
Simple. It's like you said, the pressure's still there, but it's just changed.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. You say one wrong thing and that's someone's whole Olympic qualification series over, or like their whole thing, their whole preparation for this event could go down the drain if you say one wrong thing. So it's like, if you say to do a trick here and then they crash that, it's like, it's all over and it's your fault. Like, not your fault, but it's like, you feel that burden, you know?
You're a part of it, yeah.
So there's the pressure. That's where I feel a lot of pressure. Is like, I'm always really careful of what I'm saying, especially on comp day, around the athlete. It's just like, you need to really be picky of what you're saying.
Do you get more nervous for watching people you're helping compete over when you're actually competing yourself?
Good question. Little bit. Like, I don't know. That's a tough one. I reckon it'd be almost even. No. Like, I'm a lot, like, when I was doing comps, I didn't really prepare often. Like, I'd do enough. I could pull the 60-second runs, but when I was doing my tricks, I'd have a few things in the back of my head where I'm like, if all else fails, I'm just going to send this, whatever. So I'd always walk into comps with like you never know if I'm going to do this trick or that trick, or it's kind of just like we'll see when we get there type of thing.
Yeah.
Whereas with the students, like, I work with them every day. So, like, I'm very confident on what they're going to do. And with 99% of my students, like, we've got that relationship where it's like, they tell me that this is what's going to happen and this is what's going to happen. So we've got that trust in each other where it's like, there's no doubts in their run and their abilities. So I'm always pretty confident in my students. I'll never ever make them do something where they could get hurt. So yeah, like, I get more excited, I think, than nervous for coaching at these events.
Yeah. How many people, because you said you've got the app, how many students do you have using that app now?
I haven't checked. I'd be creeping on 50 now.
Yeah.
Like, it'd be, last time I checked, I was like 35 people.
Yeah.
But it's always churning, like, because, you know, Germany might go, like, it's picking up a lot in Europe at the moment. But like, you'll find, you like, the athletes, they'll be in Europe and then they'll go to school for 3 weeks. So they'll just be like, taking a 3-week break. So it's never consistently that number.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'd be creeping on 50, and it's hard.
I was going to say, how much back-end work goes into...
It's a lot.
This is full-time job now.
Yeah, I just coach every day.
Yeah.
Like, I wake up at about 5:30 on a good day. Sometimes a little sleeping, get 6.
Getting cold.
Yeah, it's getting cold at the moment, so I've been creeping more towards the 6 a.m. side. But yeah, like from the second I wake up, I'm like, while the kettle's boiling, I'm working. Like from the second I open my eyes. So, and then from the second I go to sleep. So it's like I wake up, I do all my online coaching for that day. Then I'll generally go into like the marketing and all editing videos from the students from the previous day that I filmed with them. Then I go into my programming, so I'll check everyone's programs for the week, make sure everything's looking good. Then I go out and just do the hands-on coaching. Whereas if I don't do that morning routine, I'm probably already out at the park at 7 a.m., 7:30, doing private lessons or group lessons. So
because you showed me a little part of the app, and like you have videos of how to do tricks that they watch, copy, and then obviously put notes in about how it felt, how they did.
Yeah.
And it runs through the entire process of learning it, and then obviously feedback from them learning it. Yeah,
it's so I love it. I wish I had this when I was younger, man. I'd be so less injured if that was the case. But yeah, it's a real cool app. So you'll go out. I'll give you your kind of schedule for the week. I'll go, yep, this is what we need to do for this week. We're only looking to get 1% better each day. Is that marginal gains? I'm not looking for you to learn 50 new tricks every week. It's just slow process. It's like a long game for this one. So you'll go out, go do your tricks, film everything, send it back to me in the app, and then that's where I'll sit down and I'll frame by frame. We've got this sick thing where it tracks your whole body and your body mechanics and everything like that. So I can show you at the exact point where you're not getting low enough to the bike, or at this point you need to be lower because you're 1 second behind and that's why you're missing your pop off the jump. So it's cool. Like I notice things in my own riding that I never noticed through this app. Like I'm learning things every day still. Like that's so cool. Like I'm generally trying to learn something new every day with the coaching, and it's helping me having this app because I'm getting better at coaching just every day. Like putting hours in every single day into the
break
into
it
the
down
craft.
so much more.
Yeah, exactly. Like you got to have 100 ways to be able to teach one trick. So like there's not one size fits all for example, a backflip. We're all different. So some kids can get up and just send it, whereas some kids you've got to like really step by step into things. So yeah, it's cool. It's helping me work out different ways to coach people, how to say things, and yeah, like it's helping a lot.
That's the thing I always found tricky was I could coach the kids that were 15 to 20 a lot better than the kids that might have been. And it's not even the age thing, but like the skill level. So if a kid comes to me and he's like an all right rider, it's going to be harder for me to coach him because I've separated so much from that point. Like it's almost like the basics the fundamentals need to be taught to that kid.
Yeah.
Where if I get to a kid that's already like thereabouts and he's a good rider, it's like, okay, I can take you to a great rider because I know it's like the gap is smaller from where you are to where I am. And it's like I heard this thing, it's like to be a good coach, you don't need to be that far ahead. You just need to be a couple steps. And normally if you're a couple steps, the information that you're feeding back to the athlete is something that you've just experienced or you've just gone through. So it's fresh in your mind. So it's like, okay, I can actually translate this to you. Because you hear so many people that like you should get into coaching. It's like, oh, I'm not that good. I'm like, you're better than the person that you could be coaching. And that's all that matters.
Yeah.
As long as you know something they don't, you'll be a good coach. And especially if it's recent, then you should be even better at what you're trying to get across to them.
That as well. It's like you don't generally have to, like the best coaches aren't the best riders or the best athletes 99% of the time. It's just the dudes or the girls that understand the ins and the outs and have been around for so long where they've seen people make the mistakes and you can see the pattern in things. So yeah, I love coaching those beginners, like the straight up never been to a skate park, because by the end of the day I've got them dropping in, going up ramps, rolling around, and it's like they are the most confident person. Like seeing them come in being this awkward little kid and then they're leaving giving high fives and they're just pumped, like they're loving life. That's why I love that. I could do that every day and for the rest of my life easily. Like it's cool. It's got different, I feel like the different levels have different rewards. You know what I mean? Like watching watching someone land their first drop in and then watching someone land their first double back. It's like, they both get me like hyped.
Yeah, it's the same level of excitement for them that kind of gets transferred across to you.
Yeah, for sure. And just looking back, like I've been doing this lately. I've been looking at these videos of the kids that started with me a couple of years ago, and the level that they're at now, I'm just like, how did they get good so fast? Like, blows my mind, honestly, man. Like, just, it's so cool to be a part of that, just the process.
Yeah.
And, yeah, man, like I said, I don't think, I wasn't the best BMX rider. Like, I am so untalented at BMX. I just stuck with it, man. Like, I used to get called Sketchy BMX. That was my Insta handle growing up for a while, was Sketchy BMX, because I was just so sketchy on the bike, man. Like, I'd be so wobbly, and everything I did on the bike looked terrible. But just being a nerd, a BMX nerd, and I've watched thousands of edits, millions of hours, and just completely obsessed with it to the point where, like, if I'm watching someone do, for example, a flare double whip. I've never done a flare double whip, but you could see exactly the point where they went wrong. Or you can see they're pulling off to the side too much. They're traveling too much. They're not going up enough. Like, you don't generally have to be able to do these tricks. You got to have an understanding of how BMX works, and it's, of course, you want to have a good foundation of riding to be able to be a coach. But for that high level, super high level, like, you don't have to be Logan Martin to be able to coach Logan Martin. Yeah. Like, sometimes all it is, like, is just being up on top of the ramp and, like, having someone that you have a good bond with. So I always I want to be best mates with my students. Like, but there's a time where you go, right now I'm coach, and right now I'm your best mate. Like, you know what I mean?
It's a balancing act, isn't it?
Yeah, it's having that balance. So
I like what you said before about how you don't have to be a good rider to be a good coach, because I know plenty of really good riders and athletes, but they wouldn't know how to coach well.
Oh, you and me both.
But you know, when you, like, sometimes you'll, like, even sometimes I've had people that aren't in mountain biking at all, like a parent or someone, and they'll be like, how do you know how fast to go for that gap? And you're kind of like, I don't know. You know what I mean? It's like subconsciously over time and years of doing it, you understand that a 10-meter gap, you have to go X this fast. But I don't know. Like, it's just...
Yeah, it's... Some of the... Man, I've been mind blown at sometimes, like, riding with some of the boys, and I'm like, you know, when I was learning how to double back, and I was like, how do you double flip? And they're just like, I just kind of go fast and do 2 flips. I'm like, really? Yeah. Oh, like... Could have asked little Johnny over there. Like, he would have gave me that exact answer, dude. Like,
pull back and give Jesus the wheel.
Yeah, just pull back and hold on. Like,
yeah.
Which I do get. That's how their head works. And they're just like, yeah, the more I think about it, the worse it gets. So I just try and break it down as, like, dumbified as I can, is just like, go fast, pump, and stay in that ball. Whereas, like, I'm a dude who I kind of need, like, a step-by-step manual.
Yeah.
Like,
but the fact that you need that, then teaching someone else will make it better, because it's like you've really broken it down for yourself, and then you can break it down for someone else so they can actually understand it and then learn.
Well, like, as well, like, hanging around other people learning double backs and watching them mess it up and go, you kind of get their tips from it, and then you watch this guy who can double back. This guy can double flip spines or something, and hearing him give tips. So it's like just being around it for years and years on end. Like, man, I've been in the scene for so long now, like, it's like 15, 16 years I've been riding BMX, so I've watched so many people mess up, I've seen so many people land their first tricks, like, from bunny hops to flip drop-ins to 1080s to everything, so you can see the process behind what certain tricks need, like,
yeah,
and then being able to just pass that on to the next, like, to this dude, like, and if that doesn't work, let's try this tip. Like, it's all just info, getting as much info as you can. And I find, like, the amount of hours I'm putting into this coaching every single day, like, in 10 years' time, I'm looking forward to seeing where I'm at. Like, I'm a sponge at the moment, so it's just constantly trying to learn. Like, I certainly don't know everything at all. Like, I get to lessons sometimes, and all of my tips aren't working for this kid. And I'm like, crap, like, let's come up with a new way to help you learn it. Like, and then all of a sudden we've come up with this new way to help this kid learn a bar spin. And it's just like, all right, cool, that's might work. I'll save that because that might work for someone else later. So it's
how someone's going to take on board that information is going to be different for each person, isn't it?
Yeah, man, it's crazy. Like, I got 100 ways to teach a bar spin, and it's just like, that might not work for you. You know what I mean? Those 100 ways, I might have to come up with 101. And then, to me, that's what makes a good coach, is just someone who's put in that many hours into their craft where they can always find a solution. Like, being able to problem solve. That's what coaching is, really, and being just supportive for your athletes. So,
just the problem solving element.
Yeah, I'm loving it, man. Like, it's such a.
We touched on before real quickly that you kind of made the change to do coaching because you had this spinal cord injury. How did that come about, and what was the actual injury?
Yeah, so I did a cash roll. So it's a 360 front flip. It's like one of my dream tricks. Landed a couple, and I was out at Logan's house. We were just having a session with the boys, feeling good, and yeah, it was a real weird one. Like, it wasn't the worst crash at all, really. Like, if you look at the clip, you go, oh, is that it? It's kind of just like it's a bit of a boring crash. But yeah, when I landed, I just felt so I've landed a bit back wheel heavy, landed in like a bit of a manual. And as soon as I landed, I felt like someone tasered me. It was just my whole arm just went, like, it was on buzzing. Yeah. So yeah, what did I do? I had 2 bulging discs, and they were pressing against my spinal cord, and then the arch in my neck shifted. So yeah, I was out for a little bit. Like, I couldn't actually get any good help for a while. So I was trying to just find a doctor or a specialist or a physio that would go, yep, we'll get you back to riding. But I was just getting the opposite from every single person. Everyone I went to I reckon I went to like 7 or 8 different people, and they all just came back with going like, yeah, dude, it's kind of a bit risky to keep riding. Like, I think you should kind of stop. And all my family as well, they were all just like, look, dude, maybe it's time. And I'm just like, no one gets it, eh? Like, this is what I love doing every single day. It's, if I can't do this means I can't play rugby league with the boys. Like, I can't do so many other things as well. But I ended up finding a good coach. They were down at Ethos Performance in Sydney, and they hooked me up big time. Like, they looked after me. They were the first group of people that were just like, yeah, dude, we'll get you back riding for sure. Yeah. Like, you can do this. So yeah, that's kind of the whole neck injury. Like, I did it was like 6 months off the bike, and that's where I ended up going into the coaching with Kyle down at Level Up. But that was
funny how the negatives can become a positive. They put you down a different path for a reason.
Yeah, it's everything. Massive on everything happens for a reason. Like, huge. Live by that. So yeah, like, it sucked at the time. It was one of the hardest times of my life, especially just because, I don't know, I felt like I was just left in the dark for a bit. No one really cared. Like, I'm sure a lot of my friends and family around me cared, but it was just like, yeah, that was weird. That was a weird time.
Do you feel different in that scenario? Like, it's like people do care, and the ones that do care, they kind of make you feel different because you aren't who you used to be. It's like you almost feel not like outcasted, but you just like, you don't know how to be.
Yeah, I was lost big time. I was like, well, if I'm not this BMX rider,
who am I?
What am I doing? Like, I haven't got any, like, I've devoted my life to either kickboxing for the first 15 and then BMX for the middle to where I am now. So I'm like, I haven't really studied anything. Like, didn't go to uni, didn't even graduate high school. Like, I got kicked out the day I made it to year 12. So I was kind of sitting there going like, shit, what am I going to do, dude? Like, backs up against the wall. But yeah, like, everything does happen for a reason. And I was actually so hesitant to go into coaching. Like, I really didn't want to go back into that because I did it for so long previously in the martial arts world. And I was like, dude, I don't know if I want to do this again. Like, I really want to ride my bike. And then yeah, all it took was like, I think 2 weeks. It took about 2 weeks of coaching, and I was like, oh, dude.
This is it.
This is it. Like, just having just seeing the positivity. Like, it's so hard to have a bad day when you're coaching kids BMX. Like, bro, it's so hard.
The stoke levels are always so high, aren't they?
Yeah, everyone, like, kids are buzzing. They've finished school. They're rocking up to the sessions. They're losing their mind just to ride their bike. So I'm just like, yeah, cool. Like, it comes off big time. Like, I'll be stressing about, rent's coming up and all this stuff, like bills and just random stressful stuff. By the end of the session, I'm not even thinking about that. Like, I'm just on a big adrenaline high from watching this kid drop in for the first time. So it's mentally helped me a lot as well. Mostly, I think that's why I love coaching so much. It's just the mental side of things that it does for me. Like, it can be stressful, like I said. Dude, it's BMX in general, just being around freestyle BMX, that's stressful as it is. And then coaching kids how to backflip a bike, it's like, that's a whole nother level of stress. But it's fun.
I guess you would see, because then you said your parents, like, maybe it's time to give this up. Like, they would look at you how you look at these kids. And it's that part of being concerned, but also having no control. Like, I've got a friend, Blake, who he actually came in this pod. He had cardiac arrest, and he was technically dead for 6 minutes. He was literally going for a run with a mate. Died North Burleigh.
Wow.
Got brought back, and then he had to get a defib put in his body. And he's had it for a while, and he hasn't really been having any issues or anything come up. And he's kind of like, I kind of want to take this out. Like, I want to go back to living life. And you can imagine how that feels, or the emotions that would be going through his parents and his family, his friends. Because it's like, if he takes it out and it happens again, you could be dead.
Yeah.
So it's like that thing of like, yeah, do you live a life of, I guess, how would you say? You like live this existence that is less than what you're used to, but you live it, or do you take it out and go back to living your life to how you want to, but it could end at any moment? And that's what you've kind of got to weigh up. And then for his parents and his friends and his family and everyone else, they go, well, we have no control over this. So it's like up to him, but he obviously feels that pressure from parents being like, is this the right or the wrong move? And it's like that thing when you said, when you had your spinal cord injury, and it's like, you're not going to ride your bike again. He's like, I'd rather ride my bike again with the risk of something bad happening than not at all.
Well, in my head, when that happened, that was never a doubt that I was not going to ride again.
Yeah.
Like, everyone was telling me no. I'm like, well, that sucks because I'm going to do it anyway. And I just wanted that reassurance that I could ride, you know what I mean? That's why I kept up. But all I needed was that one person. And actually, dude, I feel strong. Like, I feel stronger now than I did then. And I'm pain-free. Like, I was told I'm going to need cortisone shots every once a year, and it's just going to be an ongoing injury, and it's just, that's what it is now. But, like, yeah, I'm pain-free, man. Like, my neck gets pretty tight from time to time, but, like...
Feel ya.
Yeah. Yeah, preaching to the choir here, eh?
Yeah. But it's funny, isn't it, though, man? Like, you have people talk to you, and the amount of people I've chatted to that have made not full recoveries, but they can walk again, and doctors be like, you're probably never going to walk again. You're going to probably, do you know Josh Woods?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've chatted with him, and he was like, you're never going to walk again, blah, blah, blah. And it's like they almost do it to motivate you. Like, some people probably wouldn't feel that. Like, I think if you're a regular person that hasn't trained their mind to overcome struggle and hardship, and the doctor says you're never going to walk again, you probably believe that. But telling someone they're never going to walk again when...
That would...
Like, watch this.
Yeah, it'd be like, all right, bro.
Yeah.
Like, no way.
Yeah,
exactly. It's just like challenge accepted.
But you hear so many people that's the message that will get delivered by a doctor, and it's just like, why are you doing that? Like, why are you putting like, if your thoughts are that I'll never walk again, you're probably not going to walk again. If your thoughts are, fuck that, I'm going to put everything into being able to do that, you're probably going to do that. Obviously, there's cases when there's nerves just don't get it reattached, and you got to be realistic sometimes if the injury is that bad. But like for Josh, he came back, and I think he shocked a lot of people that he got back to where he was, and like he's still walking now. He needs a cane, but like,
dude, yeah, he's proved him wrong. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it just comes down to how, like, to some extent, like, how much do you want to be back? Like, Man, I couldn't imagine a life without riding my bike. That would, like, I am me because I ride BMX. Like,
yeah,
it's kind of made me who I am for sure. So, for me to be told I can't ride BMX anymore, I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, there's no way I'm not going to ride my bike with or without an injury. Like,
have you found, because you're saying before, like, the whole who am I piece, like, you're saying the whole piece of, like, when the injury happened and you were trying to work out, like, who you were. Have you looked more into that now with the fact it's like, if you don't have BMX, who you are outside of that?
Well, I've been struggling a little bit with this. So it's like, because the coaching grew so fast and I wasn't kind of ready for just how fast it has grown, I'm struggling a little bit seeing my logo everywhere. I get to the skate parks and there's all these kids riding my shirts and it's all these kids are running up to me, and it's like, because I'm not this amazing pro elite level Olympic BMX rider, but I'm getting all this love and attention as if I was, and it's like a little bit of that imposter. Like, I'm going through that heaps at the moment. So I keep trying to tell myself, it's just like, like, you're a BMX coach. Like, I put in the work. I personally feel like there's not a coach in the world that's putting in the hours that I am every single day consistently for the past 2 years now. Like, man, I grind for this. So I try and always reassure myself that, no, you are doing good, but it's hard a little bit at the moment, just with all how fast it's growing. And man, like, I was just in Germany, in a random park called Darmstadt, random middle of nowhere, and there was like this group of kids running up going like, oh, you're JK coaching, and I'm like, what is going on? Like, completely mind blown. I'm so not used to this. Like, I do not feel like this big famous BMX coach. Like, I do not feel like that at all. It's just not really who I am. It might seem that way with all, like, because I post a lot with all of my students, and like, I'm big on marketing. Like, one of the things I used to do was, like, I was running a marketing business, so might come across that way, but I do not feel like I'm this big coach. So just throwing that out there. So, like, yeah, it's hard at the moment, honestly. Like, just trying to work out, just to reassure myself that it's just like, no, you can do this. Like, you're doing it. You've got the results. Like, I get all the results. Like, I'm getting the results, man. Like, comps and with my students, and yeah, like, we've got all the things to prove it. It's just trying to prove it to tell myself that at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've got the evidence there.
Yeah, I got all the evidence and I do all the work. It's just I think it's because it's such a new thing as well. Like, BMX coaching is so new. It's just an unknown path a little bit. So yeah, it's a weird one. It's a weird one.
The separation of that. I think it's because it's tricky with that, because it's like you're saying, it's like, I'm the BMX guy, and then you get into coaching and you're like, I'm the coaching guy. And it's like, you have all these different facets of your life that you play, like these different roles, and to each person is such a different thing. So it's like working out to yourself of like, who am I, and what is my purpose, or what do I want to do? And I guess it's like, you could say it's like helping people, more or less. Like, I'm someone that likes to help people. It's like, who am I? Someone that likes to help people, whether that be through coaching or whatever avenue that might be. It's like, you break it down to that, and then you're like, well, that's an easy label to put on myself that feels good. And you're like, well, I'll just keep doing that. You don't have to be like the coach or the BMX dude, or like, it's like these labels that you put on yourself then I think restrict you, because they put you in this box of like, I am this, and then you lose that, and then it's that point of like being lost. Like, I know so many people, professional athletes, and you always see it happening once they retire from their chosen sport, they have this lull and they go into like alcoholism or like whatever it may be to fix like that.
Kind of like a post-career depression type of thing.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people felt that, especially around the kind of time when COVID happened, because a lot of people got forced into a retirement from whatever it is they were doing. And you're like, who am I outside of the thing I do? And I think that's a very tricky thing to navigate and actually come out the other side and being like okay with not needing that thing and just being okay with, I guess, your values and what you want to do, and not needing something to validate yourself to be like, because it's like once you feel like you need something, once you lose it, you go through that point of like, what now? So I think it's like if you can't lose the fact you're like, I'm the person that helps. So it's like you can't lose being the person. You can't
lose that.
Yeah, it's like that's who I am. I think once you become okay with that, and then if you get said, like you go to the BMX park or something and all these people are coming up, it's like, I help these people. Keep doing that. Like keep leaning more into that instead of the idea of being someone that's like, I have to be this. I think that's where it's easy to get lost in that, because I think when you feel like because you put the expectation on yourself that you have to like live up to this certain thing that.
Yeah, like I want to be I want to be the best role model I can for these kids. Like, there's so many little grommies always with their, like I'm at the park and I want to present myself well. Like I want to be well spoken. I want to have, just not being at the park swearing my head off, doing all this. Like I want to be a real good role model for these kids coming up. So I feel that pressure a lot. I feel it's just constantly always having to be a good role model, and like I don't know, it's just still something new for me. I feel is just having that attention a lot of the time. But I am glad it's me, because like I genuinely want to help these kids. So like at the end of the day, we're all here because we like riding BMX. So I love it just as much as they do. At the end, like I'm just hanging out with my buddies, so I try not to feel like when I'm in a session with my students, I try not to feel like I'm the coach and you're the student. I want to feel like it's, especially on a one-on-one, I really want it to just feel like we're just hanging out at the park and you're just feeling comfortable.
Yeah, it's more relatable.
Yeah, just hanging out, and we're just gonna get some stuff done. Like,
I think it's like making someone feel comfortable in that environment of like pushing them, but also making them feel comfortable that they can try and do the thing. It's like creating, I think a great skill that a lot of people lack is creating the space for someone to actually be themselves, because when they are themselves, it's when that confidence comes and they can ride looser and be more free and do the things they need to do. But it's like creating space for someone is super underrated. I find that, like, when you're around someone and you can actually just feel 110% like yourself, and then you're like, oh, okay, this one I can do my best work because I'm being me. And I guess like you're saying is like a coach and like trying to create that environment for students that come in and like they can be them.
Yep. You can be yourself here. Yeah. Like, yeah, because as well, like BMX freestyle is already super stressful. Like, you got to be nuts to want to do this sport every day. Like, to be able to rock up to a skate park every day and go, I want to flip this bike. Like, that's stressful as. Like, especially being put in the situation where you want to progress every day as well. So if you're always under that stress and pressure, you don't need more from a coach. You want to have, I need to be, like, I'm a big believer in, like, you'll always progress faster if you're enjoying it. It's just, like, having fun and loving what you're doing at that moment. You're going to progress faster than if someone's on your back going, come on, dude, you need to do this right now. Like, 2 weeks out from comp, let's go, you need to do it. Whereas, like, someone just patting your back and going, you can do it, buddy. Like, you've got all the tools for, you can do this and you can do that. There's no reason why we can't do this. Like, let's give it a try. So, it's just being able to keep them in a happy, positive mindset throughout the session, especially in BMX freestyle or, like, any high-intensity action sport or, like, downhill. Shit's gnarly. Like, you're doing crazy stuff. You don't need any more pressure on top. Like, it's like when you see at the events all the parents going crazy and giving them more pressure and telling them what to do. It's like, dude, tell them you love them and just good luck.
I was going to say, how have you found that with parents in the sport and trying to balance that?
It's all right. Like, it's not. It can be okay. So,
because that's a balancing act to like make, obviously the parents normally the one paying for the coaching and they've been somewhat a coach in their life until the point they probably reach out for someone else. So it's like that alone is a tricky situation to navigate.
Well, it's really rare you find a kid that will listen to their parent, especially in BMX. Like, in any sport, really, like, it's really rare that you'll find, even if your dad is an Olympic gold medalist, I still find you'll see students or, like, kids going, Dad, you don't know what you're talking about. Whatever. Like, they don't want to listen to it because that's dad. Where a lot of these kids need, even if the dad's right, like, they could be telling them the exact thing that I'm about to say, but it's coming from dad, so they don't want to listen. So you do, it is weird to say that, but like with the pressure from parents, it's tough. Like, it's a weird one. Like, it's not as bad as other industries from what I've seen, BMX freestyle. It's a lot more supportive in just terms of like preparation and day-to-day training life and comp days. Just the thing I don't like seeing is parents getting angry or shouting at their kids in comps and training and stuff. It's like, do you want to come up on top of this 14-foot roll-in and drop in? Because, like, you're screaming at your kid to do it, but, like, have you ever been up on top of that roll? Like, it's scary what they're doing. So, like, you can't just... Like, man, I've had so many times where kids are learning this trick and it's like, you kind of can't, like, you have to land it. Other tricks like, for example, a 540. You don't want to nose case something like a 540 and then to have parents sitting there screaming at their kids going, go on, let's go, you need to do it. I want you to do 10 today. And it's just like, the kid's crying, doesn't even want to do one. So I'm not about that. Like, I don't like to play a part in that. I've had heaps of situations where I've had to walk out of the session and I'm just like, look, I'm not doing this. Like, that kid's going to hate BMX in 10 years and I don't want to be a part of that. So I do see it from time to time, but usually what I've seen is just a lot of positive parents in the scene. Like, it's rare that you see.
Have you had an altercation with parents ever? Like, when you're just like, you've gone too far or said something, or you're just trying to remove yourself if it gets that far?
Nah, I remove myself out of the situation before it gets to there. Like, I just, yeah, you can tell. You can straight up tell. So I avoid coaching around that environment. Like, ideally, I want the parents to leave because it's like the kids a lot of the time feel the pressure and they're like, you can see they're stressed out because the whole time they're about to drop in, they're looking at if the parent's watching or not. And it's just like, dude, you need to zone in, focus. Like, don't worry about them. So I'd prefer the parents to just drop off and leave. Like, come back and I'll show you their video of them. They can show you their new tricks when they get back.
Yeah.
Just like, because you being here trying to tell them to go faster and screaming at them isn't going to help.
Yeah, again, it's creating space.
Yeah, it's just taking them out of the focus. Like, you want them to be so zoned in on whatever they're doing and not thinking about, oh, is dad watching? Shit. Like, dude, it's not going to help anyone. Just go. Like,
how did you find growing up? Did your parents, were they supportive like that, or were they?
My parents were awesome. That was so, like, I look back and I was pretty lucky to, like, in terms of sport and pursuing what I wanted to do. Like, man, I could have done ballet and my mum and dad would have been like, oh, dad would have been a bit sketchy on that, but mum would have been like all down. I could do whatever I wanted. So they were very supportive in what I wanted to do and like what I want to pursue. If I wanted to be a police officer, they were like, yeah, cool, let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's like work towards that. Or, you know, if I wanted to be a professional MMA martial artist, they spent 15 years driving me to training every day. Like, literally 6 days a week, 3-4 hours a day, like every single day. They committed to it for me. So my parents were real awesome. And like, if I was stressed, they would put the time into calming me down. Like, they were awesome in terms of my support. When I wanted to move to China, they're like, yep, cool, get out of here. Like, any opportunity to take, go for it. Run with it. So
it makes a big difference.
Shout out to mum and dad for that. Like, I would definitely not be the person I am without them. And they did support me a lot. Like, still to this day, they got my back. So it's good to have that. They're stoked to see me coaching now rather than riding too. Mum and Dad hated it, BMX freestyle. I'll never forget the first time. This was the first time I ever brought my mum to the skate park. I put it off for so long because she's just like, no, I don't want to see you doing that. Like, it's too dangerous. Go to Bonnyrigg, down in West Sydney, carving around the bowl. I jumped this big spine ramp. It's like a 6-foot spine. Mustn't have forgotten to tighten my front wheel, and my front wheels come off in the air. So I've like just completely over the bars, gotten smoked for one of my biggest crashes. And it's like the first 5 minutes of her ever watching me ride a bike, and I'm like, she's never gonna come back. But yeah, she let me stick with it. So
just scarred her forever, straight
off.
Oh
yeah, she hates it. She hates watching me. Like,
I guess you'd feel it now with coaching the kids. Like when they obviously are going out, you get those butterflies and those nerves of them performing. But I guess that's just amplified when it's your own child.
Oh, mate, I'm going to be a nervous wreck when I have a kid, I reckon.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not phased if my kid doesn't want to ride BMX. Like, it'll be cool, but if they don't, no stress, because that's going to be way less stress for me.
I was going to say, when you were getting into race riding as well, who was like a idol or someone that you looked up to that helped you push?
Brandon Lupos. He was my like local city pro. So I had a good mate of mine named Chris Armour. He was so good at riding. Like, he was one of the dudes that would just naturally, everything would come to him so fast. So it was sick to have him to look up to, just like a local skate park pro. Not even pro, like he was just really good.
Yeah.
But then going to Monster Skate Park down in Sydney and meeting Lupos, like I knew he was a big dog at the time. Like when I was coming up, used to idolize this guy. Yeah, and like I said, BMX, being able to rock up and ride with him all the time. And he was so...
You guys are just mates now, aren't you?
Yeah, I live with Loopy. Like, he's one of my best mates. You know what I mean? Like, to see...
The transition.
And it's like... Yeah, like, I'm such a fan. It's so wild. I don't feel like I'm a pro BMX rider at all, or like this coach, whatever. I'm still such a super fan. So, like, me rocking up to Logan's all the time, or hanging out with Loopy, or like, you know, Boyd Hilda, he's one of my best mates. We go riding all the time, but I still like get hyped riding with these boys. So
it's funny the transition from, and I've felt this a lot with mountain biking. It's like you go from idol to competitor to friend.
Yeah.
And it's like that weird transition. And I think it helps you realize that we're just all people. Like, we're all normal. We all live the same kind of life, and it's a weird transition when it happens, but then as it does happen and you do become good friends, you're just like, well, fuck, we're all just normal, and everyone just wants to hang out and do the same thing. Like, we're all more similar than you probably think. It's like most of the time your biggest competitors are the only people that actually know how you live your life, because they live the same life. And it's not until you actually break that down and go, oh shit, we are like the same person. We do like the same things. We have the same insecurities. We have the same issues, the fears, all of it. You know, oh, we can relate on so many different...
Almost everything.
Everything, yeah. But like you say, it's weird when that someone you idolize then becomes a mate or a teammate or housemate or something like that, and you go, man, this is weird. This is a weird transition. Man.
Yeah, it's so cool. Just the way life works, I guess. It's so... I remember downloading videos of like all the boys I ride with now. I grew up in high school, sitting in there, not listening to my science teacher, watching just Vital BMX on the website, downloading like, you know, Brandon Lupos, Stuck in the Moment YouTube edit. I reckon I've watched that 1,000 times, and he's like, I could call him up right now and just have an hour chat with him, and he's like one of my best mates. So to see just the whole transition to going super fan to just hanging out with these boys all the time on the weekend, riding with them all the time, like, it's cool. It's so sick. Like, it never gets old for me.
And then it's funny because there's going to be so many kids that probably you're that next version to them of what they were to you.
Yeah, and I've got like little homies. Like the other day I had a session at Pizzy for like 3 hours with a little homie. His name's Lenny. He's 8. And like, he almost beat me at a game of bike. I'm like, dude, we're actually having a genuine, like, I'm genuinely just having a session with this dude, and it's like I'm riding with one of the boys. So it's cool to kind of be that guy for the next kind of gen, and as well with the coaching too, like, because I'm such good friends with all these elite level riders, being able to just be the middle guy to go, oh, is your favourite rider Boyd? Sick. Yo, do you want to do a private lesson with, little Johnny over here? And all of a sudden, this kid who has posters of these pro riders on his wall can go and just go ride with him for an hour. So it's sick that to be that little connection to everything. It's cool. It's really, really sick to see, like, just the hype at the moment with all the kids. And
yeah, fulfilling, hey? Like, super fulfilling.
Oh, man. There's not a day that goes by where I'm just like, that was sick. Like, every day, there's always something cool going on.
And it's just like the progression of where they're going to get to, man. It's like, obviously helping this 8-year-old kid now, and then like in 5 years, he might be, or 8 years when the Olympics are on up here, he might be competing in the Olympics in Brizzy. And you're like, man, I played a little role in getting him to there.
Well, as well, like, I got a guy named Spencer. So he's got dwarfism. He has just blown my mind. Like, there's already, as it is, not many dudes with dwarfism doing any action sports. And he's come out with, like, within the past 2 years, he's landed, like, the first dude to land backflips. He can 360 tail whip. And, like, he's 11 or 12. So he's just starting. So, like, to see where he's got, like, such a crazy future ahead of him, seeing where he's going to end up is going to blow, like, not just him, all the kids, but, like, Spence, you know what I mean? Like, without BMX, it'd be hard for him to kind of choose a path. Where now he's in it. He's in it. He's setting world's firsts, and, like, he's landed so many wild stuff. Things that I was like, at the start, I'm like, oh, dude, I don't know if we're going to be able to learn this. But he's proven me wrong time and time again. So it's like,
you want to shut up?
There's no limits now for him. I'm just like, dude, the sky's the limit for you. Like, you can kind of do whatever. And not just for him, for all the kids. It's just seeing them push their own boundaries and their limits, and just constantly, like, yesterday? Yeah, little Reedy, one of my homies, he, 6 years old, landed the first Australia's youngest backflip on a BMX. Stomping backflips at concrete at 6.
Another day?
Yesterday.
No, like, I mean, like, just another day. Like, just
just another day. He's in his school uniform. Like, he's just finished school, like, rocking up to the lessons in his booster seat, and then he's popping out back. He's on the bikes. It's like, this isn't right.
This doesn't make sense.
This doesn't make sense at all. Yeah. So it's going to be amazing to see where this leads, like, where this ends up.
Where this goes to, yeah. It's just at the beginning stage, hey?
Oh, man, like, right now, I'm sure wherever I think it is, it's going to be way, way more intense than what it actually, what I'm thinking. Because, the amount of kids popping up on the scene, and the more kids that come in, the more savages you're going to have out at local parks, and then the more riders riding together, so they're going to push each other. It's just like...
Yeah.
It's a big snowball effect type of thing.
Yeah. That's going to be exciting to see, man. I've got some, like, fast fire questions I normally wrap this thing up with. Cool. They're pretty, like, I don't just go off what kind of comes to mind first, but I was going to say, what's the worst bit of advice you reckon you've got from someone?
The worst bit of advice? Ooh.
And then the best bit of advice?
Worst bit of advice? Off my school teacher, she told me to give up on BMX. Oh, yeah. Shout out to Miss Vido. That girl.
Miss Vid.
Miss Vid. Oh, she told me that BMX is never going to take me anywhere, and I need to start focusing on my schoolwork because, let's face it, BMX isn't going to be a thing. Like, there's no career in BMX and riding bikes at skate parks. So, what are you doing? You need to start focusing. Get ready to go to uni. That burned me. That stuck with me still to this day. So I wouldn't say that advice. I guess that was her trying to give advice to me.
Yeah.
But
I guess with that, it's funny, man, that as bad as that is, it probably motivated you and pushed you more
yeah.
so than it's like funny when the doubt sets a fire under your ass to like, okay, watch this, I'll prove you wrong.
Yeah, I was like, what are you talking about? Like, why would you say that to a kid as well? Like, as someone who works at, like, as a coach or a teacher, if I had a student saying they want to make jumpers for a living or whatever it is, it's like, dude, if that's your passion, go for it. Full send. But just make sure that's what you want to do. Like, don't half-ass it. Go for it type of thing. So that would probably be the worst thing, is to not pursue what I wanted to do and just go stick down the same old route. So that's the worst bit of advice. Best bit of advice. Probably off one of my mentors. His name's Frank. He's an absolute legend. He works as like a neuroscience type of like, it's hard to explain, to be honest, but he helped me with a lot of my injuries when I was doing martial arts, and he always told me to just kind of go for it. Like, opposite of what this video said. It was just like, go with the flow and just make sure like you go for it. Never just half-ass anything. If you're going to go for something, give it everything you got. Like, no matter what it is. And if it's the wrong path, you'll find out later. Like, just keep going with the flow. So that's probably my best advice. Is just like, to me, I just go with the flow, man. Like, take the good with the bad. You don't know you don't know it's bad until later on anyway. Like, it might be good, it might be shit right now, but in 6 months' time, could be the best thing ever.
This comes back to the spinal injury.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, coaching. Yeah.
Dude, that was the worst time of my life, and it's put me into the best time of my life. Like, got to take it both as it comes. So yeah, just kind of go with the flow. Don't get so caught up with everything. Yeah. Like, everything happens for a reason.
Yeah, I like that. What are you scared of?
What am I scared of? Spiders. I'm scared of... I'm scared of not giving... Like, I'm scared of being old and looking back and going, fuck, I should have done that. Like, that's my biggest fear.
Yeah, what if?
Yeah, that's my biggest fear. Is I don't want to get old and go, man, you should have just sent it, like, when you had the chance. So that's why I'm pretty impulsive with everything. Like, if there's an opportunity that comes up, let's go. Let's send it.
It might not be there later.
Yeah. Like, if it is, awesome, but just, yeah. Not sending it is what scares me. Not going for it. So...
The regret of unfulfilled potential.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
It's just looking back. That would break me if I get to my deathbed and I'm just sitting there looking back at all the things that I could have done. So, not missing any opportunities.
It's such a common, like, it's funny. Ask a lot of, like, we'll ask everyone that question, and that's probably the most common answer, is this like unfulfilled potential that you have inside you. And just for you, like, not for anyone else, but for you. Like, when you look in the mirror and you go, I could have done more. I should have done more. Or I felt like I didn't because of X, Y, Z. It's like, do it.
Yeah, if you're going to do something, give it everything you got.
Yeah.
Can't hurt.
Yeah. So, you have some good stories.
Yeah.
And the last one I always ask everyone, how do you want to be remembered?
I want to be remembered as someone... just a positive, supportive person. That's what, just someone that was always there and with a smile on their face. That's exactly what I want to be remembered as, for sure. Just positive, happy, supportive dude.
Yeah. As like we said before, the person that helps other people.
Yeah, I just want to be that guy.
Yeah.
Like, if shit's going wrong for you, give us a heads up. Like, I'm here to help. Like, yeah, it's cool. I like helping people. I like making friends and chatting and helping people. So I want to be remembered as the friendly, happy dude that was just always there.
Sick. All right, bro. I enjoyed it.
Dude, thank you so much for having me. This has been so fun.
No, don't worry at all. It was good to get you in here. We'll, definitely have to get you back after the Olympics and stuff go down and see how the crew go. It's nerve-wracking when
pretty much showtime over the next few weeks. It's like, less than 50 days.
So what's your plan now? What are your movements going forward? Are you going...
I'm tossing up if I should go, because one of my girls is going to be a part of the first X Games for like women. Women have never been a thing for BMX freestyle, so they're having their first event this year. One of my girls has got invited to be a part of it, so I'm thinking about flying out in like 2 weeks maybe. It's still like super late minute.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking about just sending it.
There we go.
There you go. Yeah, I'm thinking about just going for it and then going to cheer her on. But if for some reason I don't do that, I've got heading out to Paris on 26th, whether she makes it or not. So I've had to just book everything. If she makes it, we're in. If she doesn't, I'm just going to go to Germany and just coach a lot of my online students over there. So
yeah,
we'll see.
Sick.
Just go with the flow.
Life sounds exciting.
Yeah, it's cool. Loving life, man.
Sick, bro. Well, thank you for that.
Legend. Thanks for having me.
Cheers, bro.
Yo.